Good morning. So remember this when you are trying to break a habit, and that is that every time you do the thing that you're trying to break, you create a new pathway in your brain. I describe it like it's a bit like trying to get down a country lane where there's potholes everywhere, it's barely used, it's a bit untouched, not well looked after. And let's say you have the choice between that road and a nice highway, clear roads, no potholes. You're probably going to take the highway where it's nice open road, right? It's easier, less potholes, safer, you name it. You just find it more comfortable. And this is what happens every time we do a habit. It creates a new pathway in our brain. So we remember what to do when this happens. So when I feel stressed, tired, I eat, and this pathway goes through it. And it almost becomes subconscious then. It almost becomes a choice that we make without even thinking about it now. It's almost decided already. However, step one on here to become more aware of this is just to make sure that every time we get that feeling, let's get the starting habit first. Every time we get that feeling, can we have a list of things that we could do instead? Number one. And number two, remember that every time, just by knowing this, every time we do this, we go down that route a little bit more. We strengthen that pathway. So my challenge to you is to actually go down the other path once and see how it feels. Be curious, not that you're going to change it forever because it's not an overnight thing, but almost go down that route of going, I'm going to make the opposite decision and see if you actually just feel good. See if you get these endorphins that we are not often aware of, like going to bed when you would normally have eaten 3 donuts, some chocolates, some crisps, whatever, some biscuits, and just going to bed and getting an early night and waking up the next day and just write down how you feel the next day. But maybe you're less bloated, maybe you didn't need a loo in the night, maybe you felt better, you slept better, you woke up with more energy, you woke up earlier because you went to bed earlier. All these things make you feel good. And also, you just did what you said you would do, which also makes you feel great. And one thing I would say to get around this is to have a bit of a rule and structure around this. So, for example, a lot of people, they'll struggle maybe to portion certain foods, and I get it. And one thing we spoke about was, number one, you look at the research and actually, to an extent, it's like you can go down one way of going, okay, just eat as much of that stuff as you want. Eventually, you will just get sick of it. Option two is to make a bit of a rule. So if you're like, well, I struggled when I start, I don't stop. Okay, let's make a rule. I only eat these foods when I'm with other people. Would you act differently? Well, yes, I would. I'd one, share them. Two, be conscious of how much I'm eating. And it then becomes an occasion. And all of a sudden, we've got 2 things going on. More awareness of what happens when I do this habit. Number 2, more awareness of the environment we're in, and actually more enjoyment, because when we're with other people, when we're sat down, maybe when we're socializing, we're in a different space, different headspace. And rather than it curing an emotion, or so-called curing an emotion, being a response to an emotion, which will just strengthen that relationship in our head without actually curing the issue anyway, we're still going to be tired, stressed, potentially. The result of that is that we potentially reduce our calories, have a better benefit of food, and actually we enjoy the foods more. Because I can guarantee that if you keep eating to cover emotion, cover stress, you're probably not even enjoying it anyway. It's just delaying the inevitable that emotion comes back. Anyway, hope that helps. And if you found this helpful, like, share it with someone who might find it helpful as well.